It's time to open your mind and expand your empire. You're listening to The Ted Huff Show. Join in for stories that embrace imperfections and become the inspiration you need to achieve true greatness in your life through actionable progress in the pursuit of self-discovery, self-improvement, and self-purpose. Where will your story take you? Now let's get it started with the man himself, your host, Ted Huff.
Hey, welcome back to The Ted Huff Show. We have Ryan Esquivel, a combat veteran from Iraq, host of the Esquivelio Show, and the founder of the Esquivelio Empire. He shares with us the story of growing up in a military family and how his childhood shenanigans with his brother set him on the path to joining the military and being a military police officer. He also shares how coming back from Iraq made it very difficult for him to move forward and see his self-worth, getting to a point where he couldn't leave his house and even envisioned hanging himself at his office. Can't wait to share this with you. Everybody, welcome Ryan Esquivel.
We're being brought to you today through the Modi app. I'm right here in beautiful Huntington Beach, California. And the best thing about this Modi app is that I'm able to do this on the go, wherever it is. I literally just rolled out of bed and we got this thing going on. And the Modi app allows you to instantly monetize your content for whoever you're working with, record it locally. And Ryan, we got you online, man. Why don't you give some people a high level of what the show is about, and then we'll start to dive into some more details about who you are, what you got going on today.
You know, the Esquivelio Show is about sharing. We think that nobody wants to hear our story, and that's far from the case. It's just that fear of just sharing. And when you open up yourself to sharing, let's be honest, it's vulnerable and it's painstaking, it's gut-wrenching, but it's so rewarding, so freeing that you're just wanting to get your story out. And all my guests, this is their opportunity because they shut out the world. It comes down to you and me and the Esquivelio Empire. Quick little story about how I came up with Esquivelio. We were in this PX, and for everybody who's not a military member, the PX is.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably need to do a little bit of explanations. There are going to be a lot of acronyms and things that are very focused. So if you're a veteran, you're going to understand it very, very well.
Absolutely,
Ryan, you and I both are Army veterans, so. We're going to have to take a little bit of time and dive in and let them know what some of these acronyms mean, like the PX, the post exchange. It's like the store of all stores. I mean, it's got everything you could ever want, and then stuff you should never buy, but we do it anyways as soldiers because, heck, that's what we're doing.
I know for our generation, including the veteran generation, most department stores have over the head loudspeakers. And this lady, she's about almost 50 years old, a wonderful woman. And Hispanic last names, like, you know, I wish I had a Garcia or a really easy one like Sanchez or something really easy. But Esquivel is so difficult, just the words and when you look at it, because, you know, in the military, you have your name printed right there. And we think that would be easy. So we separate. And she's at the loudspeaker, and she comes on the loudspeaker, and she's trying. They say my name, Esquivel. But like most people, she says, Esquivelio. And it just put a smile on my face, and you know, and that's the feeling that the word Esquivelio that I want the listeners just to get that transcending from the stories, from living, from just doing and smiling, because with the Esquivelio Show, I'm taking that extra effort to understand people, to like people, to know people, and hey, make some friends.
So Ryan, you know, we've talked about what the Esquivelio Show is about. We've talked about how the Esquivelio, how that comes about, you know, how that name came about and all that fun stuff. But let's really bring some people back and kind of help them understand some of the experiences in your life that have driven you towards wanting to share stories, to get stories, to listen to stories, to have people tell you their stories? I know that you grew up in a military family and moved all over. So you've heard lots of stories, seen lots of different things, but let's kind of go back a little bit and just kind of share with the team, with the viewers and the listeners of how Ryan got to where he is today, and a handful of things that have influenced you to want to understand those stories.
Excuse me. Of course. My story actually starts from my earliest memories in South Carolina. Me and my brother, I love my brother. We were, I don't know, about 5 or 6, and my brother and I had stolen, I think, we didn't know what we were stealing at the time. We stole a candy bar, and we kind of slick. We threw it in Mom's bag, and before she knew it, and we got home. So this was a lesson in stealing, and of course, in responsibility and integrity. So my mom took me and my brother back to the store. We sat down with the loss prevention. That's like the police. We'll keep it simple. It's the store police. So, and then this guy, he must have been, 6 feet, 7 feet tall. Of course, I was a little kid. Everybody's 6 feet, 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Do you want me to take your mom to jail? Because that's what happens when you steal." And,
oh, man.
And he says this, I think about 3 or 4 times, and then it sunk in. And then for my brother, he just cracks. He's like, "Oh, I don't want you to take my mom to jail. Don't take my mom to jail." And then he goes further, and he's like, "Don't take my mom to jail. Can you take my brother instead?"
Dude throws you right under the bus, man.
He does. And to this day, I was talking to him last night about my computer break-in. He's like, "Just buy a new computer." But that story, and it was from the other day when we were talking, all those memories came back to me, and it was just one of those genuine, heartfelt moments. And of course, it was a lesson in that feeling. That was the trajectory of my law enforcement career and the military, because I had this high level of respect for the military police, and I knew from that moment that I wanted to be military police, and I knew that I was going to join the military. I just didn't have all the details figured out at such a young age.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what happens. You get an idea when you're a child, and you just start to move that direction. And just like anything in life, you don't always have to know the details. It's just taking that first step to really getting there.
Yeah. Well, that first step, it was so much fear. It was crippling. It's just. I remember another story in that me and my brother.
You and your brother, man. You and your brother. Troublemakers, I tell you. Troublemakers.
We had stolen $5 from my mom. And back then, $5 was enough to get you some ice cream at Baskin Robbins. So we walked, I don't know, it must have been 3 or 4 miles to the Baskin Robbins on base, the military base. And we ate our ice cream, and we got back, and we were thinking we were scot-free. And I don't know, about 2 or 3 years, maybe my mom asked me or something, or my brother, I can't remember how it went, but maybe my brother cracked again, and he said to my mom, "We stole $5 from you when we were kids." And
oh my God, so he's ratting you out yet again.
He is,
man.
I'm telling you. So, and that was a lesson. If you're going to commit a crime, do it alone.
Okay, folks, don't commit any crimes.
No.
We're not talking about committing crimes. Let's go ahead and do the right thing. So don't commit any crimes. All right, Ryan. So life of crime moves you over to being a military police. So help us understand, moving into the military, how did that go for you? Did you get in? Was it everything you were expecting? How did that all turn out for you?
I got exactly what I wanted, military police. And be careful what you wish for. You might just get it. So, military police, leaving 3 months after high school. So it's August of 1997. I'm in the Army, being all that I can be military police, and they throw me in Fort Leavenworth. So everybody doesn't know what Fort Leavenworth is. Fort Leavenworth is a famous, we're talking over 100 years old, military prison from almost the Civil War era.
Isn't this the same prison like that is in every military prison movie?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's literally out in the middle of nowhere in Kansas, right?
No, actually, it's not. It's funny you should mention. Everybody thinks that it is in the middle of nowhere.
Well, that's what the movies make it look like.
It does. Like you're in like this remote, desolate area. It actually sits on top of a hill. At least the old one did. The new one is a little bit further. But there's a thriving community in Leavenworth, Kansas. 1999, I found myself really challenging myself, living up to the military core values, and I couldn't do it. So I was chaptered out.
Okay. I was gonna say we're gonna have to tell everybody. So you got chaptered out, which actually means that they decided to send you home or allow you out of your agreement with the government. What caused that to happen? How did you end up in that situation?
To be honest with you, I surrounded myself with people who did not live up to those military values, and then you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yep.
Good, bad, promoting, rich, whatever it is, you are there. And through reverse osmosis, I had to take that lesson, own up to what I did and what I didn't do, didn't live up to those values, and I had to go home, back to my friends, back to my parents, and it was truly embarrassing. That one, I didn't finish my contract. 2, I was supposed to be going places and doing things. Being the oldest son, I had responsibilities, expectations, and I didn't live up to those. And that was a hard lesson, and a truly humbling lesson. And yeah, it does hurt. I will be honest with you. I was talking to my mom when I got home, and I was crying. I was like 21 at the time, and grown man just crying, and like, am I a disappointment? Am I a failure? Am I a loser? And my mom's like, no, absolutely not. We love you just who you are. And that was a turning point for everything up until meeting Ted Huff here.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
It's skyrocketing. I mean, it's just mind-boggling that you can be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, good or bad, counterproductive versus productive. It's a choice, and and it's not over. And there's no perfect life. There's no perfect military career. There's no perfect other than perfectly good looks. But
so Ryan, you talk about coming home and having that realization that you felt like a complete failure. And you had that support net of your family to really help you through and remind you that just because you failed at an action doesn't mean you are a failure. Kind of help me understand, was that a breaking point for you? You mentioned that was a turning point, but was that a breaking point? And what did you do to turn stuff around? So the listeners and the viewers understand that there are things you can do to turn things around. What did you do?
Actually, I went further into a safe place, and I had that mindset, well, if I just get a job, if I just go to college, and if I just be a good person, that would be enough.
Oh, so you kept that little bit of a downward slide on that, huh?
More of that, protection. People want to protect themselves from getting hurt again, and that's what I did. So I threw myself into college, and I was mildly successful in the college. Then I took it one step further, and then my mindset was to join the National Guard, do my 20 years, get my retirement. And for the National Guard, it's that part-time military you hear on the news, and the commercials for 2 days out of summer, 2 weeks out of a month, and 2 weeks in the summertime. You'll get a military career, get education, and that was my mindset going into the National Guard. And this was 2000, July 2000. So this was before 9/11, and that 9/11 was another point. So I was continuing to play it safe because, one, I had already been military police.
So it was an easy move over, very, very safe for you, something you knew and you understood, a culture that you could understand, so it wasn't really pushing your boundaries. So you go into this comfort space in 2000, and then September 11th, 2001, the world completely changes. What does that mean what does that mean for Ryan Esquivel? What does that mean for him?
That means everything got kicked into overdrive. 72 hours, January 2003, we get deployed to Iraq. I get deployed with cooks, bankers, teachers, doctors, dentists, everybody under the sun in your community that's just so hopping mad. Hope I can say hopping, but they were just so hopping mad, getting ready to pick up their rifle.
Yeah, you can say hopping. You can say hopping.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it, man. Go for it.
So everybody's hopping mad. We're gonna go overseas. We're gonna, do what we signed up to do. And I was thinking to myself, you have no idea what you're talking about and what you're saying, but that's okay because I'm here. I know what war is about, most part, and I knew what was needed of me to step up and be a soldier. And this was my opportunity to be something, to do something, to go somewhere and really change my life around. And I had no idea that the events of going to Iraq, being in Iraq, and losing someone I truly loved, my roommate and best friend, who was killed in action. And that was just like a hard 90-degree turning point where I really got to get my stuff together. That life is such a great reward. Where when someone gives you life, and you're not so much taking life, but when you're giving life and you're filling people up, it's awesome. That's just a word I can explain it. Awesome. So I come home from Iraq in 2004. A whole year of my life and everybody else's life just goes forward.
Yeah.
It's the time warp where it's a missing gap, and you're missing your fellow soldiers, and being in the Army, and you're missing everybody. You don't understand why you can't connect. It's like doing like this, and everybody's. So you're already a year behind everybody else. Kind of like being left back in the second grade or something. Which I did second grade twice.
So how did you transition? You coming back? How did that transition back into civilian life really happen for you? And how did you take it? Because I know that there are a lot of guys out there that
Mm-hmm.
really struggle with it. I mean, you've got PTSD, which is a real deal thing.
Mm-hmm.
You've got guys that just can't get their mindset out of the reactionary, constantly surveilling the area around them, and always looking at everybody being an enemy combatant. And then you've got the folks that just shut down. I mean, these are the folks
Mm-hmm.
that are out there that are homeless, that don't have the support system like what you have. So kind of help us understand, how did you make that transition, and was it easy? Was it hard? Kind of help us understand how that transition happened.
Actually, time-wise, it was very easy. I threw myself into recruiting. I had some friends in the recruiting world for the National Guard, so I was a full-time recruiter. But there was just something that I was just disconnected from everything and everybody. And I thought if I just kept moving, I don't have to worry about the war. I don't have to worry about PTSD. I don't have to worry about nothing other than what's right in front of me. And that was the wrong approach, but I see that now. But that was the only approach that I had. And then things continue to fall apart, where I get a really good job with the Bureau of Prisons, and it's a really good job. I'm making over $100,000 a year, and just by showing up, and I'm going places, set up for success. But what I didn't see is I didn't see all the people around me rooting for me, putting good words in for me, taking care of me. Because nobody, they want to think that it was all me, that I'm just, special, and it's my smartness that got this job for me, and where that might be true. There are special and smart people out there. But, once I was in the Army, I was in Iraq, and I lost somebody, and I want to be here working with you, for you, and about this mission, and the mission was being a correctional officer, that molds a unit, a group of people, where you can do great things. And I think that was a lesson in team building, which at the time, this was like 2007, I didn't really get it. So I was really successful for about 3 years, and then again, the cycle of falling apart happens again. And this was a time where a lot of people were committing suicides, a lot of soldiers coming back, a lot of veterans and it was like a huge epidemic with PTSD. Not that it's not now, but it was just more in the news at the time. Yeah. So I was like, I need to get help. I need to get into the VA. I need to get treatment.
So let me stop you there. So what do you think? I mean, what do you think that trigger was for you that caused that self-doubt and everything to really come in place? You mentioned that you didn't feel like you had support at the workplace. Was there other things going on, or other things that triggered that feeling, and then where did it go once that? I mean, how far did that feeling go? I mean,
it went so far that I just started disconnecting myself from even my coworkers, my family, my friends, where I just started hating the world, and I really just wanted my friend back. Eric Ramirez killed in action, you know, God rest his soul, and all the other souls that, you know, lost their lives. But it was that survivor's guilt where it says, who am I to enjoy this job? Who am I, you know, to enjoy my family, enjoy my kids, and enjoy this life where, you know, I'm not special. Honestly, I just got lucky. That's the honest truth. I got lucky, and then that guilt, you know, just snowballed into inpatient psychiatric help, all sorts of medication. So I really medicated myself and kicking the can down the road. And you gotta understand, this is like almost, I don't know, 10 years maybe to 2004.
Wow.
Yeah, about,
so 10 years of medication and trying to push through all that stuff. That is crazy. That is crazy. Yeah. So what do you think has been the biggest belief, behavior, or habit that has really changed your life in the last 3 years? Because I know you just started the Esquivelio show not too long ago. So right. So what is it, the belief, the habit or behavior in, you know, last 3 to 5 years that really changed that, really got you to start to move in a different direction? Because I know you'd mentioned that you'd spend a little bit of time in our our pre-calls and a couple other different things. Yeah. You'd spend some time in the hospital for this, you know, because you did get suicidal, as you told me. Right. And what was that belief, behavior, habit that really changed it and had you looking at things differently?
Last November, I had gotten this job where no interview, I barely even applied for it. And it was like, I don't know, one of my, it wasn't my dream job, but it was a job that paid a really good salary. And I was thinking, this has got to be, you know, the stars line up. Everything's good for me. Medication's working. I'm in therapy. Everything's good. And then I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. So I transitioned, and it was not for me. I'm gonna put it like that because, you know, I love the people who work there. I'm not gonna put them on the bus, but it was just like the perfect storm. And then I had this massive anxiety attack where it was so crippling that it put me back in the hospital. I immediately resigned from my job, and for a few moments, I could see myself actually hanging myself at that point where I just couldn't get out. And
wow, man.
And I was like, if I could just do it just to get out of this situation, I was there.
So you were starting to feel like the only way to get out of the situation you were in, although it wasn't a bad situation, it just wasn't one you were comfortable with. Right. The only way to get out was to end your life.
Absolutely.
And I think that's an important thing for the listeners and viewers to really understand, is that even though everything seems to be going in your way, the feelings of depression, the feelings of anxiety, the mental talk that you give yourself may not be apparent on the outside. So be cognizant of that when you're working with folks, because you have no idea what's going on in their head. You have no idea how they feel. But Ryan, not to take away from your story, I just think it's important for people to understand that mental illness is real. It can be treated. It can be overcome. It just takes compassion, understanding, and perseverance. So I'll let you get back to your story. Sorry for that. That's just something that I'm very, very passionate about. I myself suffer from bouts of depression, and I have to work really, really hard and change things to get out of them. And so I think it's very important for folks to understand that. So Ryan, back to you. Let's find out, how did you get out of that funk? What did you do to get you to a point where you wanted to share stories with people with the Esquivelio show. Let's get people to that understanding. Let's show them the brighter side
Absolutely.
of this
Yeah.
fun stuff.
So I get it out of inpatient psychiatric help, and I'm off of work for a good, 11 months, probably about 11 months, so almost a year, and I'm on Social Security because I have no idea, and that was a really humbling experience too. Thank you to the American people for continuing to service veterans and just taking care of us. It really means a lot. It meant a lot to my family. It meant a lot, everything. That I'm no longer on Social Security. Thank you. So during that time, I have a lot of time to think and really, really figure out, that yes, I have a loving wife, and yes, I have kids that love me, and yes, this life is worth living, but is that enough for me just to have a pulse and just to show up? I've been doing that all my life, and yeah, that's half of it, of success. You got to show up, and I think I got that down pretty well. Where that whole other part of me is everybody. Is the way we talk to each other, the way we connect with each other. Yeah, it's right now through Moti, where maybe I can come. I don't live too far from Arizona, actually. But get back to my story, where I start, and then something hit me where I was listening to one podcast, and it wasn't a very famous podcast, and he had this guest on, and I'm like, well, who's John Lee Dumas? I'm like, well, he sounds interesting, and then he starts throwing the E-bombs, entrepreneur, and I'm like, well,
the E-bombs, dude.
Yeah,
I have not heard that yet. The E-bombs. Oh my goodness. This I attended an event and it was all about entrepreneurship. And now you're saying E-bombs, and I'm laughing. It just that is so funny. I attend a lot of events, especially around entrepreneurship. So it's funny you call it an E-bomb. I'm gonna have to put that in my notes and use it later.
Go for it, man. I'm here to help. So he's dropping the E-bomb, and I'm already over medicated, don't really want to do nothing, don't leave the house. So I'm like, why not podcast? But I'm not there to do a podcast yet. I'm listening to, and then he drops another value bomb, if you will. And
that's JLD's thing. He's all about the value bomb. So what value bomb did he drop that just made you decide, dude, I gotta do this, I gotta move forward, and this is my thing to help myself and help other people?
He mentioned a book, an audiobook book. And for some reason, I have this problem with imagination. When I actually read a physical book, that if I read it, it's just, in, out, zero imagination. But when I listen to it, so I'm a visual learner. I hear things. And then it stuck to me. He's like, well, I really like this book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mindset by T. Harv Eker. And it's free. I'm like, well,
what?
Why not?
It's free? Gotta do it, man.
Why not? If I'm going to fall, I might as well fall in the right direction. I'm continuing falling, picking myself up. So if in my own mind, I'm thinking, something's got to change. I need something to change this cycle I'm in. So from listening to that book and what's the other book? Rich Dad, Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki. Those two books really got in my mind and said, there is more than what you see. There is more than just the 10 feet around you. And it comes down to it. You either do it or you don't. You're either there or you're not. It comes down to just making a choice, making a decision. And then you got to want it. So I wasn't really there to wanting. I just want to be left alone, to be honest with you.
Yep.
And I don't know. So
what was the thing? What was that one thing that made you decide I'm gonna do a podcast? What was that one thing?
When I started listening to the book from T. Harv Eker, he had this thing where this guest came up and said to him, what's it feel like to touch a millionaire? And T. Harv Eker goes, well, touch yourself.
That's awesome.
And
That's
that
awesome.
was it. And I was like, I have a lot of friends who are very wealthy, and I have a lot of friends who are very poor. And I treat everybody the same, as like I want to be treated. And when I talk to everybody tells me that, no, I'm doing fine. Even when they have cancer, even when they're depressed, even when they're homeless, oh, I'm doing fine. And they're lying.
Yep.
And
Fine does not mean fine. It means right. I'm scared to tell you how bad I feel right now. So that's how I believe fine. So anytime somebody tells you fine, that means they're asking you to help them. They're asking for help when they say fine. They want you to ask what else is going on in their life. And that's just my personal opinion. That's where I come from. And Ryan, what I want to do now is I want to just kind of move over because I think having you have that example of listening to that guy saying touch a millionaire really got you to want to share those stories and the whole fine part of it. I know you have a lot of tools in your chest. Let's just pick out 3 main tools that you use either every day or every week, but you use them in a consistent basis that the folks out there can really, really take and use right away.
1, keep it simple. Whatever it is, someone's done it before. Either it's a podcast, a book, an idea. Many thousands of years ago, people had ideas. But keep it simple and be open to something new. You have to be open, because if you're constantly discounting people, guess what? It's going to come back to me discounting everything. Get out of your own way. You're afraid. Everybody's afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of being a failure. I'm afraid of falling. I'm afraid of getting myself up. I'm afraid of success. I'm afraid of money. I'm afraid of expectations. Get rid of them all. Embrace that fear. I define success as having a pulse. You're already there. You're already there.
Well, that's that's kind of like when people say, get your first win of the day by making your bed. So get the first win of your day by waking up alive. I mean, that there you go. That's a good way to get started. So, and to tell you, the first one was keep it simple. Second one was get out of your own way. And I have a feeling you've got a number 3 for us. What is number 3, Ryan?
Embrace your fears.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Everybody has fears. Just embrace it and understand that you're human. You're not some Superman that has no feelings. You don't have these grand expectations of being a robot or an ATM machine to your family, to your loved ones. They value you for the person you are. And
so how do they embrace the fear? So I know that we hear that a lot, but how do you embrace the fear?
What I have to say out loud what I'm afraid of, and what I'm afraid. My number 1 fear is being successful and having these expectations and not having that family time. That's so important to me. That because I have children, I have a wife, and if I'm doing everything for everybody else, I'm missing out on that. It's a fine balance. It really is, between financial success, emotional success, family success. But it's all a matter of timing, really, because the children, they grow up so fast.
They do.
Your business grows up so fast. And then you're like, wow, where did it all go to? It's like, but hey, it was a fun ride. I mean, but those fears, though, in the knowing that you have them, period, is just huge, because so many people are like, nah, I'm not afraid of nothing.
So what I'm hearing you say, and this one is a big one. The other 2, I understand. This one's a big one for me. So what you're saying is first recognize what you have as a fear. Then once you've identified what the fear is, be sure to evoke some sort of emotion about or communicate it, whether you say it out loud, you write it down, do that. So because once you get it out there, it loses its power. And then third is just drive through it. Those are the 3 things that I just heard you say. around how to get over that fear. Am I missing anything? Did I leave anything out?
I'll give you a real quick example. I had this fear of just walking outside. One step out the door just sent me into a panic attack. So what I did is I opened the door. I didn't actually go through it, and I saw it, and I saw myself putting that one foot in front of the other, and then I went back inside. And then the next day it was 2, and then the next day it was 3, and then those little steps got me to where I am today.
So you don't think about the big end goal. Think about the first thing to get you there. And like you said, like you were scared to go outside, and all you did was open the door the first time.
That's right.
And you thought about taking that next step. You didn't take the next step, but you thought about it. And then the next time you opened the door and you took that first step, and then you closed the door, and then you came back. So I think it's extremely important for everybody to understand is that those fears, you don't have to think about getting rid of the fear completely right away, or trying to figure out how to get rid of the fear. Just figure out what is one step to get you closer to eliminating that fear, and just take that step. So Ryan, I really appreciate you going through this. Appreciate your service as a veteran. Before we close out, I do want everybody to know where to find you. So where do we find you on the social medias? Where's the best place to get in contact with you?
Well, the best place to contact me is through Esquivelio.com or RyanMichaelEsquivel.com. I know that's a mouthful, so I got the Esquivelio.com. I'm the number one Esquivelio on the internet.
There you go, man.
I'm probably the only. So I'm on Twitter. I love Twitter. Esquivelio_1 because you're number one, and you're number one too, Ted.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it, man. You too.
Hey, Facebook. I'm on Facebook. Join the Esquivelio Empire Facebook page. We'd love to have you. Plus LinkedIn. I'm really huge on LinkedIn. What else? I'm just having a really awesome journey. It's just a mind blowing. Meeting great people like Ted Huff. Subscribe to the Ted Huff Show. Subscribe to the Esquivelio Show. So Ryan, connection. Exactly. All right, Ryan. Hey, man, I really appreciate you being on the show. This has been great. Like you said, it feels like long lost brothers, and I really appreciate the time. Hopefully, everybody got something out of it today. And like you said, hit subscribe, follow, like, comment, do all that fun stuff. If you like the way this episode looked and sounded, you too can get the same experience. The Modi app is available for download on Apple iTunes. Go to modiapp.com, MOTIAPP.com to download it now. That's it for this episode of The Ted Huff Show. But we know you're wondering where you go from here. TedHuff.com makes it easy for you to get notifications for new episodes, specialized contests, exclusive giveaways, and upcoming events simply by signing up for our mailing list. You'll get access to all this and more by visiting TedHuff.com. That's TEDDHUFF.com. Until next time, open your mind and expand your empire right here on The Ted Huff Show.